We have been very solicitous.
A new NASA announcement leaves Boeing hanging out to dry while stranded astronauts return back in SpaceX Dragon. NASA astronauts Butch and Suni are stuck on the ISS for another 7 months. They may also have to return to Earth without any protective astronaut suits. Those are the trending highlights from the world of space since you last heard from us. Wondering what all these mean? Don't worry, I got you covered. I watched a 1-hour 30-minute NASA press conference just to get you the most interesting highlights, and now you just have to watch this 10-minute video till the end to find out. So, do you remember Butch and Suni? Yep, the two astronauts who are currently stuck on the ISS due to the epic failures of the Starliner. Well, NASA recently made a huge announcement, and sadly those folks are not going to be returning to Earth until February 2025. But that's not even the craziest part of this developing story. In case you don't know yet, top NASA officials held a press conference on the 24th of August 2024. Let's just say the result of the press conference may have Elon Musk getting the last laugh and Boeing guys sweating profusely. At this press conference, NASA announced that Butch and Suni would be coming back to Earth aboard SpaceX's Dragon instead of Boeing Starliner, and this has got a lot of people talking in the world of space. But why exactly did NASA make this tough decision? Well, before you go on, let me welcome you to the Space Minds channel. As you already know, just like you, we love everything about space and rockets, and we regularly post content about recent happenings in the world of space. So just take a minute to hit that subscribe button and ring that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our exciting videos. Welcome back, spacefarers. Undoubtedly, it's a big decision to make, sending Butch and Suni home on the competitor spacecraft, and the only explanation is that NASA felt there was just too much unpredictability with Starliner's thrusters. For example, if two main thrusters went offline during Starliner's undocking and deorbit, or if the helium tank keeps leaking till it runs out, then this may just leave the spacecraft stuck in orbit or unable to return back to Earth. So when NASA looked at the data and the potential for failure, they just didn't want to take so much of a risk with the crew on board. What then will happen to the Starliner now that another spacecraft is bringing the astronauts home? Will we just pack it in the ISS garage? Well, I guess not. According to reports, NASA's tentative date for the return of Starliner from the ISS, crewed or uncrewed, is September the 6th. This means that whether or not the Starliner is ready to give Butch and Suni a ride home by September, it has to leave the ISS. Boeing itself has already confirmed this and has posted on X saying, "We continue to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft. We are executing the mission as determined by NASA, and we are preparing the spacecraft for a safe and successful uncrewed return." And I think we can all say we saw this coming, because the original test mission for the Starliner was planned for 8 days, starting on June 15th. So, if things went according to plan, the Starliner should have been back to Earth by June 23rd. But because of the technical issues faced by the Starliner, its stay in the ISS was extended to more than 90 days. Well, space is big enough and no one has to pay rent, so it would have been cool if Butch and Suni continued to enjoy their little vacation on the ISS. However, the problem with that is that Starliner's batteries were only designed to hold energy for 45 days, and Boeing and NASA have already done all they can to extend the battery's lifespan to 90 days. Now that they've crossed the 90-day mark, it'll only be dangerous if the Starliner continues to stay on the ISS without coming back to Earth. But I'd love to hear your opinion here. If the decision were up to just Butch and Suni to choose who to return them home from Starliner and SpaceX, which spacecraft do you think they would have chosen, and why? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Well, according to the plan now, the Starliner will have to fly home empty, while astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will wait till February 2025 before they finally fly home on a SpaceX vehicle. It must have been a long wait for them already, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. Now, this story has even more twists. One more thing that has shocked a lot of people is that the astronaut re-entry suits for the Starliner and SpaceX are not compatible. So if an emergency happens, Butch and Suni may have to return to Earth without wearing any protective suit. Yep, you heard that right. But first, let's get a little background knowledge about this. Usually, when astronauts are about to undock from the ISS, they wear a protective suit known as a re-entry suit. This suit is designed to protect the astronauts in case of any emergency that leads to a depressurization of the spacecraft during re-entry. But the big problem now is that Butch and Suni were brought aboard the ISS in the Starliner, and now they'll be returning to Earth in SpaceX's Dragon that uses a different type of re-entry suit. So what exactly does this mean for the astronauts on board? Does this pose any danger to their lives? Luckily, no. First, the scenario where Butch and Suni leave the ISS without a protective suit on will only occur if the ISS becomes uninhabitable and the astronauts have to leave in a hurry before their SpaceX suits are brought to them on the ISS. This may most likely never happen, so it's nothing to worry about. But even if it happens when a spacecraft begins re-entry, the capsule remains pressurized and the astronauts can breathe perfectly. So the suit is merely a precautionary measure, and astronauts don't exactly need to wear them to return to Earth safely. So basically, Butch and Suni will only return to Earth without protective suits if there's an emergency on the ISS and they have to leave hurriedly. And even if that happens, there's still no real danger because they can survive in a spacecraft without protective suits. NASA has already announced that the astronauts are returning on Elon Musk's SpaceX Dragon. But what really makes SpaceX's Dragon a better option to bring back the astronauts than Boeing Starliner? Well, for one, Starliner has faced numerous issues in the past, from helium tank leaks, testing malfunctions, to several in-flight challenges. In contrast, Crew Dragon has constantly proven its reliability and has 9 successful ISS missions under its belt. In terms of cargo missions, Dragon has also already completed an impressive 30 missions, dwarfing Starliner's non-existent record in that regard. But even if we put all of that aside, another major reason why NASA considered Dragon over Starliner is because Dragon offers NASA various ways to go about this mission of rescuing the astronauts. They could either bring back both astronauts on Crew 8, since the spacecraft can hold up to 6 people. Another option is to split the crew and have one astronaut return on Crew 8 and the other on Crew 9 next year. But the option that NASA has chosen is to wait until February 2025 and bring both astronauts back on Crew 9, and that's an excellent decision. So, are you also Team Dragon like NASA or Team Starliner, and why? Make sure to let us know in the comments. Now, what exactly will happen to the Starliner when it returns to Earth? Well, when the Starliner returns to Earth, Boeing and NASA will be conducting several analyses of what they can regarding the condition of the spacecraft and modifications that can be done to prevent future occurrences of failure. But even if the spacecraft conducts a successful re-entry into Earth, there's only little that can be done because they only get the capsule back. The part of the spacecraft that they'll have really wanted to get back is the service module, which may have really explained the thruster and helium issues. But this part of the spacecraft is usually separated prior to re-entry and will burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. So, since there's no way to return the hardware, it's up to Boeing and its team to figure out what's wrong with the spacecraft and fix it before the new crewed flight, if there'll be any. Now that the decision has been made, what exactly is the future of the Starliner? The future of Starliner is looking pretty shaky right now. That's no thanks to the multiple helium leaks and the thruster failures that the spacecraft has faced in the past. Despite all these hiccups, NASA seems dead set on getting Starliner certified for crewed flights, which makes you wonder if they're just trying to keep Boeing happy. Well, while pulling the plug on the Starliner program might seem harsh for now, it still appears to be the best way to avoid even bigger messes down the line. However, if NASA is confident about the performance of the spacecraft for future operations, then it's their decision to make. With this, we've come to the end of today's video. But before you go, did you know Elon Musk is planning a new method of landing the Starship booster that's driving NASA absolutely crazy? Well, yes. Check out this next video to find out what SpaceX is planning next. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button and snatch that thumbs up. Catch you in space next time.